The burning world planet was alive with fire. Rivers of molten lava cut across the land like glowing snakes, lighting up the endless night. Every step shook the ground as fire burst from cracks, spraying sparks into the dark sky. The air itself shimmered, heavy with heat, as if the whole world wanted to push away anyone who dared to stand on its surface. For thousands of years, no one had claimed this planet. The reason was simple: nothing could live here. No plants, no water, no breath of fresh air. Only fire, smoke, and endless storms of ash. The first to arrive were the Exler, a proud alien race known across galaxies for their war machines and strong armor. They had conquered worlds of ice, worlds covered in storms, even planets without light. But when they landed here, their confidence melted like their machines. At first, they built tall shelters on floating platforms. The shelters sank within hours, swallowed by lava that refused to stay still. They sent workers with heat-resistant suits, but the ground shook so violently that the workers fell into cracks of fire. Their weapons, designed to fight enemies, were useless against nature itself. The aliens tried again and again, stronger walls, deeper drills, more powerful shields, but each attempt ended the same. The lava rose, the fire spread, and the aliens screamed as they ran back to their ships. One by one, the Exler abandoned the planet. From their ships in orbit, they watched the surface burn, whispering to each other in shame. If they, with all their strength, could not survive here, then surely no one could. The Exler gave the planet a name in their own tongue. The translation was simple: the world of death. But the galaxy is never empty for long, and sometimes the most fragile-looking species is the most dangerous. Centuries later, another ship came into orbit. Its design was different, lighter, smaller, almost fragile compared to the great alien warships. Its engines glowed blue, not red. Its surface carried a symbol that looked almost childlike compared to the dark markings of the Zler. The symbol was a circle, and inside the circle was a single blue and green sphere, Earth. Humans had arrived. The Exler, still circling far above in their silent ships, laughed at the sight. What were these small creatures thinking? Their skin was soft, their bodies weak. Even in normal worlds, they wore cloth to protect themselves. Surely here, on the world of death, they would burn before they could even open their doors. The human ship hovered for hours, scanning the surface. Inside, the crew whispered to one another, not in fear, but in wonder. Their voices carried excitement, like children about to begin a game. Finally, with a soft rumble, the ship landed near the edge of a lava river. The ground shook, and fire hissed around them, but the humans did not retreat. The door of the ship opened. Out stepped a figure in a white and silver suit, the visor reflecting the firelight. Behind the figure came others, each carrying strange equipment, boxes and rods that glowed with blue light. The Exler watched from orbit, expecting screams, expecting the humans to run back within seconds. But instead, something stranger happened. The humans moved slowly, calmly, as if they were walking on a beach instead of a burning world. They pushed their rods into the ground, and shields of shimmering blue energy rose around them, protecting. Then from the sparks, they placed boxes that hummed with cooling waves, turning the air around them fresh. And then unbelievably they laughed. Their voices carried across their radios, filled with joy. One pointed at the flowing lava and said something the Exler could not understand. But the sound was not fear, it was excitement. The aliens in orbit began to whisper again. How could humans stand here? Did they not feel the heat? Did they not fear the fire? The leader of the human crew raised his hand and said something simple to his team. This will be our camp. And so, on a planet where powerful alien warriors had fled in terror, fragile humans stood their ground. They began to set up their shelter, not with giant machines, but with clever tools and steady hands. Above them, the Exler grew silent. For the first time in centuries, they felt something colder than fear. They felt the shadow of a question they could not answer. If humans could survive here, what else were they capable of? The fire cracked, the ground shook, and the first human night on the burning world began. The first human steps, heat pressed against their suits like invisible hands, trying to push them back inside the ship. Every step the humans took felt like walking on the edge of a giant furnace. Yet their movements were calm, steady, and full of purpose. Captain Elias, leader of the expedition, stood at the front. His visor glowed from the reflection of the lava river nearby. He lifted a scanner in his hand, its screen filled with numbers and signals flashing in bright green. instead of fear. His voice carried quiet excitement. Temperature over 1,200 degrees, perfect for our test. Behind him, Engineer Mara adjusted a tall rod she carried. She pressed it into the burning ground, and in seconds, a circular blue shield spread out, forming a bubble of protection. Inside the shield, the air cooled just enough for the humans to breathe comfortably through their suits. The aliens watching from orbit could not believe what they saw. The Exler whispered among themselves, their voices sharp with disbelief. "They are building," one of them hissed. "No, impossible. They cannot survive long." But the humans were not rushing. They worked with patience. Each rod they placed created more protection. Each box they unpacked hummed with energy, pulling heat away and turning it into usable power. Mara smiled. "The lava is energy, endless. Energy. We don't run from it. We use it." The Exler fell silent. To them, lava had always been death. To the humans, it was opportunity. The crew of 12 spread across the rocky field, setting up equipment like farmers planting seeds. Every tool seemed small compared to the violent power of the planet. Yet the tools worked. Cooling vents released. Soft clouds of mist. Platforms unfolded and floated just above the lava cracks. Steady like rafts on water. One of the younger crew members, Leo, walked close to the lava's edge. His boots glowed red from the heat, but his voice carried awe, not fear. "It's beautiful," he whispered. To the Exler listening, the words sounded like madness. How could fire be beautiful? The captain placed his hand on Leo's shoulder. "Don't just look at it. Learn from it. This planet isn't our enemy. It's our teacher." Hours passed. The humans built their first camp, a dome of shimmering. Blue light rose above them, made from the rods they had planted. Inside, the air was stable. The temperature safe. For the first time in history, life had taken root on a world of death. Yet the suspense was not over. The ground shook violently, throwing rocks into the air. A new crack opened nearby, and lava poured out like a river breaking its banks. The Exler watching leaned forward, certain this would be the end of the foolish humans. But instead of panic, the humans responded with speed and order. Mara, extend the shield to the east. Leo, deploy the floating platforms. Team 3, redirect the flow. Their voices were clear, calm, practiced. Within minutes, the lava was contained, redirected into channels the humans had prepared. The deadly eruption became controlled, almost tamed. From orbit, the Exler gasped. "They commanded the fire." One whispered, "No." Another answered, his voice shaking. They listened to it, and it obeyed. As the ground settled again, the crew gathered at the center of their dome. They removed their helmets for the first time. Cool air flowed around them, safe and breathable, created by their own machines. The captain looked around at his team. "Remember this moment, the first human steps on the lava world. History will not forget what we've done today." The crew cheered softly, their voices echoing through the dome. They were not afraid. They were proud. Outside the dome, the world burned as fiercely as before. Rivers of fire still moved across the land. Volcanoes still roared in the distance. But inside the human camp, there was order, light, and hope. The Exler ships floated in silence. Fear grew inside them. They had run from this world. They had named it death. But these humans, these fragile creatures of flesh, had walked calmly into its heart and called it home. One alien whispered the thought that none of them wanted to say aloud, "If they can do this here, what will stop them anywhere?" The humans, unaware of the fear they had awakened, continued their work. They set up chairs, unpacked food supplies, and prepared for their first night on the burning world. To them, it was not terror, it was adventure, and as the firelight danced across their faces, the planet seemed less like death and more like a challenge that had already begun to bow before them. The first human steps had been taken. The galaxy would never be the same again. The impossible sheltered camp stood like a strange jewel in the middle of fire. From high above, the humans' glowing dome looked small and fragile compared to the endless rivers of lava. Yet it did not break. The blue light shimmered as waves of heat crashed against it, holding firm like a stubborn wall against the fury of the planet. Inside, the humans worked with quiet determination. They were building something no alien had ever imagined possible, a home on the world of death. Captain Elias walked through the camp, his boots clicking against the floating platforms they had deployed. The platforms hovered just above the molten ground, stable and cool, as if the humans had carved islands on a fiery sea. He looked around at his crew and felt pride swell in his chest. "Remember," he said through the calms, "this place will not forgive mistakes, but we will not treat it as an enemy. Every wall, every tool we design it with the planet, not against it." Engineer Mara was already at work, adjusting the rods that supported the shield. She added a second layer, creating a dome inside a dome. The outer layer absorbed the worst of the heat, while the inner layer spread the energy evenly. The result was not just survival, it was comfort. The aliens watching from orbit struggled to understand. The Exler had brought heavy machines, tall walls of metal, and weapons that burned like suns. Yet all of it had failed. Now, these fragile humans used small tools, simple rods, and floating panels, yet it worked. Why? One Exler whispered. Because they adapt, another answered bitterly. As the hours passed, the shelter began to look less like a desperate camp and more like a settlement. Cooling vents released streams of fresh air. Water condensed inside containers, collected from the very heat that should have destroyed them. Energy panels floated above, drawing power directly from the lava's light. Young Leo sat at the edge of a platform, his legs dangling over the shielded side. His eyes widened as he stared at the river of glowing fire. Back on Earth, people sit near lakes, he said softly. Here, we sit by lava. His crewmates laughed. Their voice is carrying warmth. Even in a place where no alien dared stay for more than minutes, the humans found a way to joke. Night came, if such a world could ever have night. The sky turned dark, but the planet never slept. Lava glowed brighter in the blackness, painting the camp in red and gold. The humans gathered inside their dome, their helmets off, breathing freely. They ate, they talked, and they planned. But soon, something unusual happened. Instead of fear or silence, they began to smile. Someone unpacked a small box filled with supplies from Earth. Inside were soft white cubes, marshmallows. Mara laughed as she held one up. Only humans would bring these to a planet of fire. They placed the marshmallows on sticks and held them close to the glowing cracks under the platform. The heat roasted them perfectly, turning them golden brown. The crew passed them around, biting into the sweet, melting sugar. To the Exler, watching in disbelief, it looked like madness. Here, where their strongest warriors had melted in minutes, the humans were roasting food as if sitting at a picnic. The alien commander slammed his clawed hand against the controls. They mock us. They turn death into play. But another Exler, older and wiser, shook his head slowly. No, they do not mock. They survive by turning terror into comfort. That is their power. The shelter grew stronger each day. Humans built sleeping quarters inside the dome. They created walkways above, dangerous cracks. They even placed lights across the camp, not because they needed them, but because they wanted the place to feel like home. The impossible had happened. A planet of death now had laughter inside it, yet danger was never far. Deep in the distance, a mountain rumbled. Ash filled the air as the volcano prepared to awaken. The Exler ships watched closely, certain this would be the end of the humans' arrogance. But when the first shockwave hit, the humans did not panic. Captain Elias ordered calmly, "Activate the flow channels." Massive streams of lava spilled toward the camp, but the humans' prepared platforms redirected the flow, guiding it around their dome. The fire became a controlled river, glowing like a moat around a castle. The aliens fell silent again. Each disaster only made the humans stronger. Each challenge became another step in their survival. By the end of the third night, the impossible shelter stood firm. What had been the world of death was slowly turning into the world of firelight. The humans sat around the lava, cracks again, marshmallows in hand, their laughter echoing through the camp. And the Exler whispered in fear, "If they can call this home, then there is no place in the galaxy safe from them." The campfire of Faret's fourth night on the lava world was unlike any other. The sky burned with red clouds, and the ground rumbled as rivers of molten fire twisted across the horizon. Yet, inside the humans' dome, the mood was not fear, it was peace. The crew had worked all day strengthening the platforms, adjusting the cooling vents, and widening the shield. Their camp now stretched across several glowing cracks of lava, like a floating city in the middle of fire. To anyone watching, it looked impossible. To the humans, it looked normal. When the day's work was done, Captain Elias gathered his team in the center of the dome. The humans carried chairs, food packs, and small boxes. They placed them near a wide lava crack where the heat glowed brightest. The air shimmered, and sparks flew into the sky like fireflies. "Let's make this place feel like home," the captain said with a small smile. Engineer Mara laughed as she unpacked a bag. I brought more marshmallows, and some chocolate this time. The crew cheered softly, their voices filled with warmth. One by one, they sat on their chairs, holding sticks with marshmallows at the end. They leaned close to the lava crack, letting the fire roast the sugar cubes slowly. The smell of sweetness filled the dome, mixing strangely with the smoke of the planet. The aliens in orbit could hardly believe their eyes. The Exler warriors leaned forward against their screens, their faces twisted in shock. Do you see this? One hissed. They are eating by the lava, another whispered, as if it is a campfire. It was unthinkable. To the Exler, the lava world was death. To humans, it had become nothing more than a giant campfire. Leo, the youngest of the crew, laughed as he bit into a marshmallow. His face glowed with joy in the red light. Back home, we used to sit by a fire and tell stories. Here, nothing changes. Fire is still fire. Mara added, it doesn't matter if it's wood or lava. What matters is us sitting together. The crew nodded, and slowly the mood shifted. They began telling tales of Earth, of their families, of battles and journeys across the stars. Their voices carried warmth, laughter, even sadness. In the middle of fire, they remembered who they were. Above them, the Exler commander clenched his claws. This is not survival, he growled. This is comfort. They have turned hell into home. The older alien beside him shook his head slowly. His voice was quiet, almost afraid. No, Commander, this is worse. They have turned fear into joy, and that is something no weapon can destroy. Inside the dome, the humans continued their night. Someone pulled out a small guitar, the strings echoing soft music. The sound floated gently through the fiery air, clashing strangely with the roar of distant volcanoes. The crew sang together, their voices light but steady. The Exler ships listened in silence. They had fought many species, faced many enemies, but never had they seen anything like this. Most races would scream, beg, or run from the fire. Humans roasted marshmallows and sang songs, and then Captain Elias spoke words that chilled the aliens more than any weapon. We are not just surviving. Here, he said to his crew. His eyes reflected the lava's glow. We are thriving. If we can laugh here, eat here, live here, then there is no place in the galaxy we cannot call home. The crew nodded, their faces serious now. They understood the weight of his words. Outside, the dome, the volcanoes roared again. Lava burst into the sky, sparks raining down like burning stars. The ground shook violently, but inside, the humans did not run. They tightened the shield, adjusted the platforms, and continued their campfire as if nothing had changed. The Exler could no longer laugh at them. Fear grew like a shadow in their hearts. If humans could claim this world, then the galaxy itself might one day belong to them. The night grew longer. The marshmallows were gone. The stories faded into silence, but the fire still glowed. The humans sat quietly, staring at the endless rivers of molten light, and in that silence, one alien whispered from his ship above, if humans can sit in hell and sing, then what will they do when they reach our worlds? The campfire burned on, and the answer hung heavy in the air. Alien fear-grossed news spread faster than fire itself across the galaxy. Whispers traveled from one alien world to another. The humans had done the impossible. They had built a home on the lava planet, the one every other species had called the world of death. The Exler, who had failed and fled from its burning surface, were the first to speak of it. At first, they told the story with disbelief, laughing at the foolishness of humans. But when more scouts returned with recordings, images of humans sitting by rivers of lava, eating, singing, and laughing, the laughter turned into silence. Alien leaders gathered in great halls, their faces dark with worry. Some replayed the recordings again and again. The sight was always the same, fragile creatures of flesh and bone turning a world of fire into a playground. How can this be? Asked the leader of the Zer, a species with bodies of stone. We are born from molten rock, yet even we cannot stay there. How do humans survive? They do not just survive. Exler General answered bitterly. They enjoy it. They make it theirs. The fear began to grow on the lava planet itself. The humans continued their work without knowing how their actions shook the galaxy. Their camp had grown into a small settlement. The dome was taller now, brighter and stronger. They had built walkways across dangerous cracks, energy collectors above the lava rivers. and platforms that floated steadily like islands of steel dot inside the dome. Daily life carried on. The crew studied samples, tested new machines, and recorded data. But at night, they still gathered near the lava cracks, treating it like an endless campfire. Leo often joked, "Other species see death here. We see dinner and light." His words always made the crew laugh, but outside their dome, those same words made alien rulers tremble. In the Council of the Thernic, a warrior race known for their great armies, the generals argued, "If humans can claim this world, then where will they stop?" One growled, "First lava, next poison worlds, then gas giants." Another shouted, "They will not stop." A quiet voice answered, "They never do." The fear was not only about the planet, it was about history. For centuries, humans had been known as survivors. They had lived through ice ages, deserts, storms, and famine. Wherever they went, they adapted. Where others died, they endured. The Exler commander, watching from orbit, finally spoke to his fleet. His voice carried both anger and dread. "Do you see them? This is why we fear them. They do not conquer with strength. They conquer with will. They take death and make it life. And that is more dangerous than any weapon." Back in the human camp, Captain Elias looked at the glowing horizon. His voice was calm, but there was a spark of pride. "We are not the strongest," he told his crew. "We are not the fastest, but we are the ones who never stop. Remember that. It is our gift and our curse." The crew nodded, understanding. They knew their presence here was more than science. It was proof to the galaxy that humans could not be broken. Meanwhile, alien spies spread the story across the stars. Entire fleets whispered in fear. Colonies far away spoke of humans as a rising storm, a force that no world could resist. And yet, the humans on the lava planet remained unaware of the storm their campfire had created. To them, it was simple. They had made a dangerous world feel like home. The aliens, however, saw something else. They saw the future. One alien voice captured the fear perfectly. "If humans can smile in the face of fire, then one day they will smile in the face of us. And when that day comes, the galaxy will belong to them." The hidden human secret galaxy wanted answers. How could humans, fragile and soft, stand where the strongest alien races had fallen? How could they laugh on a world that even metal feared? In secret, fleets of spies circled the lava planet. Tiny drones floated near the human dome, watching, recording, and searching for the truth. Surely, the aliens thought, the humans must be hiding some super technology, some hidden weapon that allowed them to survive. But what they saw only confused them more. Inside the dome, life was simple. The humans worked together in small teams. One group collected data, another adjusted the shield, another cooked food. At night, they still gathered by the glowing cracks, roasting marshmallows and singing softly. There were no super weapons, no secret machines. The Exler commander growled at the recordings. "Where is their power? Where is their secret? Show me the device, the weapon, the trick." But his advisors shook their heads. "There is none, Commander. What we see is all there is." Still, the aliens did not believe. They searched deeper, sending spies to land near the dome. From the shadows, they watched humans laugh, share food, and repair broken tools. They expected to see fear, but there was none. One alien spy whispered to his leader, "They are not strong. They are not perfect, but they do not quit. Even when tired, even when everything breaks, they stand up again. That is their secret." It was true. The human strength was not in technology or weapons. It was in something far more dangerous. Their spirit. Captain Elias explained it best one night as he spoke to his crew. His voice was calm, but full of pride. "Other races see fire and run. We see fire and learn. We don't fight the world, we live with it. That's why we survive." Mara added with a smile, "We are not here to prove we are strong. We are here to prove we won't give up. Not now. Not ever." Those words spread faster than any machine. The spies carried them back to their leaders, who replayed them again and again. Some aliens shook with anger, others with fear. The Thernic general slammed his fist against the table. "Do you not see? This is their weapon, not guns, not ships. It is their will. They bend the galaxy with it." Another alien, older and wiser, whispered softly, "This is why they are dangerous. They do not need to win battles. They only need to keep standing when others fall." Back on the planet, the humans continued their life. Every problem became another test. When the shield flickered, they repaired it. When lava surged too close, they redirected it with channels. When food supplies ran low, they found ways to grow plants in the dome using the planet's heat. Each challenge that should have ended them only made them stronger. Leo, sitting near the lava one evening, asked softly, "Captain, do you think the galaxy fears us?" Captain Elias looked into the fire, his face glowing red. "Maybe, but fear is not our goal. We are not here to scare anyone. We are here to show that we can belong anywhere. That is what makes us human." The crew grew quiet at his words. They knew the truth, that real strength was not muscle, not technology, not weapons. The real strength was a spirit that refused to break. And above them, watching silently, the Exler finally understood. "This is their secret," the commander whispered. His voice trembled, heavy with dread. "They do not need to defeat us in battle. They will outlast us. They will turn every world, every hell into home. And when they do, the galaxy will belong to them." The hidden truth of humanity was no longer hidden. It was fear itself, spreading like fire through every alien heart. He messaged, and the Flamesti lava world roared as if it wanted to push the humans away. Mountains erupted in the distance, sending rivers of fire pouring across the black ground. The sky glowed red, filled with ash and sparks that looked like burning stars. To any alien, it was a nightmare. To the humans, it was home. Inside the glowing blue dome, the crew sat together. The air was cool, the light was steady, and their laughter echoed faintly above the endless roar outside. They had done the impossible. They had turned death into comfort, fire into warmth, and terror into joy. But tonight was different. Tonight, Captain Elias stood before his crew with a message. He pointed toward the lava river glowing beyond the shield. "Do you see that fire?" he asked quietly. "Every alien who came here before us saw only death. They fled. They gave up. But we turned it into a campfire." The crew nodded, their eyes fixed on him. Elias continued, his voice steady. "This is our gift. This is our curse. Wherever we go, we take the impossible and make it ours. And the galaxy is watching us now. They are afraid, not of our weapons, not of our ships, but of our spirit." His words hung heavy in the air. Even the young crew member, Leo, felt the weight of them. Outside the dome, alien ships floated silently in orbit. The Exler and others who had failed on this world now watched in awe and fear. They listened through their hidden devices. Every word of the captain reached their ears, and every word deepened their dread. Mara leaned forward, her marshmallow roasting gently over a crack of lava. She smiled softly. "We didn't just survive here. We made memories here. We laughed here." That is what they will never understand. The crew agreed. They had created more than a camp. They had created a symbol, and that symbol spread across the galaxy. Alien leaders replayed the recordings again and again, humans sitting by rivers of fire, eating, singing, and smiling as if they were in their own backyard. The message was clear. No world was too deadly for humans. No place was too hostile. If there was air to breathe, they would breathe it. If there was fire, they would turn it into warmth. If there was death, they would make it life. In the great council of alien rulers, silence filled the halls. Finally, one leader whispered the truth aloud. "If humans can turn hell into a campfire, then nothing will stop them." Back on the lava planet, the humans did not know the simple campfire had shaken the galaxy. To them, it was just another night. They sang songs, told stories of Earth, and roasted marshmallows as the fire glowed brighter. But Captain Elias, staring at the lava, felt something deeper. He knew their journey had only begun. He knew the galaxy was watching, and he knew their campfire was no longer just for themselves. It was a message. He spoke softly, almost like a prayer. "We are human. We do not quit. We do not bow. We take the impossible, and we make it ours." The flames outside the dome flickered wildly, as if the planet itself had heard his words. The aliens in orbit trembled. Some whispered in anger, others in awe, but all of them knew the same truth. This was not just the story of one camp on one planet. It was the beginning of something greater. The message in the flames was simple and terrifying. Humans will survive anywhere, and when they do, no world will ever be the same again. The crew leaned back, watching the lava flow like an endless river of light. Their faces glowed in its fire, calm and unafraid. Above them, the alien fleets began to retreat into the dark sky, whispering the words that would echo across every star. "If they can smile in hell, Then they can conquer the heavens. And on the burning world, the humans sat quietly, their campfire glowing brighter than the lava itself. The galaxy would remember this night forever.